If you want to create a new reality, you need a new state of being. Joe Dispenza. This quote invites us to deeply reflect on the fundamental role the mind plays in shaping our lives. Often we find ourselves trapped in automatic thought patterns, reliving past experiences that limit our present and inevitably shape our future. But what if we had the power to change that? What if the brain is more malleable than we think, capable of being reprogrammed to help us achieve a new reality? The science of neuroplasticity, the concept that the brain can change and adapt throughout life, is one of the pillars of Joe Dispenza's work. By understanding how the mind works, we can literally rewrite our reactions, habits, and most importantly, the beliefs that limit our potential. The idea that we can change the physical and functional structure of the brain through conscious intention opens the door to endless possibilities for transformation. This script will explore how changing the brain can lead to a change in your life. We will see how thoughts shape our biology, the role emotions play in building reality, and how to apply practices such as meditation and visualization to create new neural connections. The key is to understand that by changing your brain, you change your perception, behavior, and therefore your entire life. The phrase, "change your brain, change your life," may seem simple at first glance, but it carries deep meaning. Our brain is the control center for everything we experience, from the emotions we feel to the decisions we make daily. Joe Dispenza explains that to change our life, we must first change how our brain operates. How does this work in practice? Let's start with the concept of neuroplasticity, which Joe Dispenza explores extensively in his teachings. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to reorganize itself, create new connections, and even develop new cells. This means that the thought, behavior, and emotional patterns we often repeat are not permanent. They can be altered. If the mind is stuck in a network of negative thoughts, fears, and limiting beliefs, it is possible to reconfigure that network. The first step to changing the brain is recognizing that we are creators of our own experiences. Every thought we have generates a biochemical reaction in the brain, releasing chemicals corresponding to that thought. For example, if you constantly think of failure, your brain releases stress hormones like cortisol, which reinforce feelings of fear and uncertainty. Over time, this pattern strengthens, creating a vicious cycle where the brain becomes accustomed to operating in survival mode, making it difficult to see new possibilities. But when you consciously choose to change your thoughts, focusing, for example, on success, well-being, and gratitude, you begin to activate different areas of the brain. This new pattern, repeated consistently, strengthens new neural connections, literally changing the structure of the brain. Joe Dispenza describes this as pruning old connections that no longer serve you and planting new ones that support the vision of a better future. By understanding how thoughts and emotions impact the brain, we begin to realize we have immense power over our lives. Our thoughts are energy, and by changing the quality of that energy, we start attracting new experiences aligned with what we want to manifest. The brain is an adaptable organ, and when we train our mind to create a new state of being, we open the door to a new reality. Now that we understand how neuroplasticity gives us the opportunity to change the brain, let's explore practical examples that illustrate the impact of this change in our lives. A cornerstone of Joe Dispenza's work is showing that personal transformation is not just an abstract theory, but a concrete reality lived by thousands of people around the world. A striking example is of a man who suffered a severe car accident, becoming paralyzed from the neck down. Doctors said he would never walk again. However, he refused to accept this diagnosis. After learning about Joe Dispenza's teachings on the body's ability to heal by changing the brain, he began using daily visualization as part of his rehabilitation process. Every day he would intensely focus on imagining his body functioning perfectly. He visualized the movement of his legs, the sensation of walking, and even ran mentally, despite being physically paralyzed. By doing so, he was sending new signals to the brain, which in turn began to create new neural connections to support recovery. Over time, this practice intensified, and he began to regain movement. What doctors deemed impossible became a reality, thanks to his ability to reprogram the brain and, consequently, the body. Stories like this demonstrate that neuroplasticity is not just a theoretical concept. The human brain has an incredible potential for adaptation and overcoming challenges. Joe Dispenza teaches us that the first step to changing the brain in life is to deeply believe that change is possible. What you believe, you become. If you continue to believe that you are limited by diagnoses, the past, or current circumstances, your brain will reinforce that belief and build a reality around it. But if you begin to visualize a new version of yourself, with conviction, your brain will work to make that vision a physical reality. Another example is of people who transformed their financial situation by applying the same principles. Instead of living in a mindset of scarcity, believing there would never be enough money, these people began to visualize abundance, feel gratitude for what they didn't yet have, and train their minds to seek solutions and opportunities. By changing their mindset, the brain was reprogrammed to focus on abundance and success, which eventually began to manifest in their lives. These examples show that whether in health, career, or relationships, the power of change begins in the brain. What you think and feel repeatedly is what creates your reality. Joe Dispenza teaches that the emotional and mental state you live in daily is responsible for attracting the experiences corresponding to your life. Therefore, changing your brain is, in essence, changing your perception of yourself and the world. Now let's deepen our understanding of how, by changing our brain, we can literally change our lives. To do this, it's essential to understand the relationship between emotions, thoughts, and the body's biology. Joe Dispenza frequently emphasizes that the mind and body are deeply connected, and this connection is key to true transformation. Simply put, your thoughts produce chemical signals in the brain that generate emotions. These emotions, in turn, influence how the body reacts physically. If you are constantly thinking about stressful or anxious situations, the body begins to live in a chronic state of alertness, releasing hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones are useful in the short term, when we need to react quickly to danger. However, living in this state continuously affects our physical and mental health, causing illness, fatigue, and blockages. The body adapts to the environment created by your thoughts. Joe Dispenza explains that if you keep thinking the same way, you will continue producing the same emotional and chemical responses in the body, perpetuating the cycle that keeps you stuck in old patterns. The real power lies in breaking this cycle by changing your mind. But how do we do this? The answer lies in creating new emotional states. When you feel elevated emotions like gratitude, love, and joy, your body responds by releasing chemicals that promote healing, vitality, and expansion. More than that, your brain begins to generate new signals, forming new neural connections that support this emotional change. The brain starts operating at a higher level, which generates new behavior, and eventually, a new reality. Joe Dispenza emphasizes the importance of meditation as a tool for achieving this change. Meditation allows you to turn off the automatic thoughts that usually keep you stuck in the past and start reprogramming your brain with conscious intentions. During meditation, you can visualize the desired future, feeling the emotions associated with that new reality as if it were already real. By doing this, you are literally training your brain to operate from this new perspective, which begins to manifest in your daily life. Furthermore, by focusing on elevated emotions during meditation, you create a state of coherence between the heart and brain, where both work together in harmony. This state of coherence, as explained by Joe Dispenza, generates an electromagnetic field around you, attracting experiences that correspond to your new state of being. In other words, when your brain is in sync with your desires and intentions, you magnetize those realities into your life. Changing the brain, therefore, is not just about changing isolated thoughts, but about changing the way you feel and perceive the world. When you change your perception, everything around you begins to change as well. And this is the true power of the mind. As we reflect on everything that has been discussed, it becomes clear that the key to changing your life lies within you, specifically in your ability to change your brain. Joe Dispenza shows us both inspiringly and scientifically that we are not prisoners of our habits, thoughts, or current circumstances. We are, in fact, co-creators of our reality, and the power of that creation lies in the conscious control we exert over our mind. Think about it. How many times have you felt like you were living the same day repeatedly? That the same situations and challenges kept appearing in your life? This happens because, according to Joe Dispenza, most of us live most of the time on autopilot, reacting to the past and recreating the same patterns. The brain, conditioned by years of experience, continues following the same neural pathway, repeating the same thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. But modern neuroscience has given us great news. We are not trapped in this cycle. We can change. We can train our brain to function differently, and by doing so, we create new realities. Change, however, does not happen overnight. It is a conscious process that requires practice, patience, and above all, the willingness to believe that a new life is possible. By applying the tools Joe Dispenza offers us, such as meditation, visualization, and the cultivation of elevated emotions, we begin to tread a new path. A path where the brain is no longer governed by old patterns and begins working toward a future full of possibilities. Meditating is not just a relaxation practice, but a way to reprogram your mind. Visualizing what you desire is not just a manifestation technique, but a way to train the brain to create new neural connections that support that desire. Feeling gratitude, love, and joy, even before your external circumstances change, is not just an act of optimism, but a powerful method of influencing your body's biology and the energy you emit to the world. As Dispenza explains, when you align your thoughts and emotions with the desired future, you create a state of being that begins to attract that new reality into your life. The life change you desire, whether in health, finances, relationships, or personal growth, begins with the change of your mind. There are no limits to what you can achieve when you understand that your reality is a direct reflection of what is happening inside you. When you start training your brain to think and feel differently, you open the door to new opportunities, new experiences, and a new version of yourself. Joe Dispenza reminds us that we are powerful beings, with the ability to transform any area of our lives as long as we are willing to do the inner work required. Every thought, every emotion, and every intention you place in your brain is shaping your life. So ask yourself, what am I creating today? If you are willing to step out of autopilot and reprogram your mind, you can literally change everything. The process begins with a simple decision. The decision to no longer accept the limits of the past. With that decision, you begin to access the immense potential that resides in your brain, and in doing so, transform your life. Remember, changing your brain is changing your life. The power is, and always has been, within you. Now it's up to you to use it to create the reality you've always dreamed of.